Okay, so now again we visualize Lama Tsongkhapa in front of us. Think, okay, I'm going to meditate now on the great difficulty of finding precious human rebirth. Please bless me to have success in gaining inner realization of the meaning, the benefits of the difficulty of finding this. Precious human rebirth, and Lama Tsongkhapa sends nectar, which purifies, that white, milk-like nectar made of light, purifies all obstacles to realizing that. And the nectar fills your whole body from the bottom of your feet to the crown of your head, blessing you to be able to realize this topic completely and thereby progress on the path. So the first point, the first outline point is illustrations, is what they call it, or examples or something. So the example that Lama Tsongkhapa uses in the Middle Length Lamrim, again, this is sort of to feel, we're trying to cultivate a feeling of the rarity, of how rare it is to have this. And so the analogy that Lama Tsongkhapa gives there is the one of dirt or dust. And he says those those who are suffering in meaninglessly, mostly in the lower realms, and who don't have any opportunity, don't have the precious human rebirth, in other words. He says the metaphor for that is all the dust and dirt on the earth. And so for that, right, you think about like the great forests on this planet, and the great deserts. Like in the U.S., you can think of the Great Plains, right? And then of the ocean, what's it called? Beaches on both oceans, and the great forests. Right? And the same thing, right, in South America. You can think of the Sahara Desert, of the humongous, like, sort of tundras of Mongolia, of all the mountain ranges on the earth. Of all the forests of Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia. All of those different beaches and land masses. And then all the dust in the air, which is like billions of tons of dust. And so the Buddha is saying that's the metaphor for the one side. Then he says, think of how much dust there is on one fingernail, one of your fingernails. He says, so this is the metaphor, right? Or the example, is that all the dust on the earth is the suffering, is a metaphor for the number of beings suffering in lower realms, suffering without any freedom to practice. And the dust on your fingernail is the metaphor for those with a precious human rebirth of freedoms and income. So it's like almost zero. Sometimes temporarily a little bit of dust lands on your fingernail and stays there briefly and falls off. Or if you're working outside, there's a little bit of, just a few specks of dirt, right, that are there on your fingernail until you wash it. So they're almost zero, like by comparison to the vastness of the dirt on the earth. And also it doesn't last. It doesn't stay there long. So you try to get a feeling through this metaphor of, wow, it's so rare. So that illustration, the purpose of it is to get the kind of feeling or kind of recognition. Because again, the Buddha is using examples from what we can see to try to express something. I feel, wow, it's almost impossible to have this precious human rebirth. So then the second point that Lama Tsongkhapa addresses is, so why is it so that rare? Why is it so difficult to have this kind of precious human rebirth? And he points out the reason why is because of cause and effect, of karma. It's that if you look around, most beings easily and repeatedly and with great energy do negative actions. But it's very rare for beings to do the kinds of positive actions required to achieve a precious human rebirth. So we've already said, right, that in the lower realms, right, like, for the most part, beings almost never do positive actions. The hell beings who are filled with terror and rage, hungry ghosts who are filled with chronically and always filled with kind of desire. We said, like, in other words, the animals, right, like a shark, right? So a shark just eats, right, and swims. It can't do anything. It's not capable of doing positive actions. Then you would say, well, human beings at least are capable, right? But then if we look, right, like, it's so easy for, like, millions and millions of people to cultivate hatred, anger, rage. It's so easy, like, human beings so readily, like, join together in wars, spending huge expenses, right, and putting their mental energy into killing in vast numbers. So it's so common to do negative actions. And most of the time, even if human beings develop a little bit of compassion, it's often like the person develops a little compassion for their own child, right, but then they become angry at, say, the child's teacher for not giving them a better grade, at some other child for not treating their kid the way they wish they would. So even when the person, ordinarily will mostly create huge amounts of, it's easy to create this kind of hatred, anger. Then when they develop just a little bit of compassion, or they mix it with attachment, right? Like, so they develop a little bit of affection for somebody, right? Then they develop huge attachment, wanting the person to do what I want, say what I want, be how I want. Then when they don't do that, then they get angry. So you can see, what this point is saying is, it makes sense that it's hard, that it's rare to have a precious human rebirth, because just look around. Right? Almost no one is cultivating the causes of a precious human rebirth. Then the third point is very related to that, which is, so, in other words, to analyze what are the causes and how those rare causes. So the specific causes of a precious human rebirth are, on the one hand, one has to practice pure ethics. So not just ethics, but pure, Right? So that means like with understanding. You know, because like for example, sometimes a person doesn't steal, but it's because they're afraid they'll get caught. But that's not pure ethics. Or a person doesn't kill because they don't want to go to jail. That's not pure ethics. But like pure ethics are with an understanding, right? Either an understanding of not wanting to harm others, and an understanding of karmic causality. Right? That one intentionally, through one's own power, says, I don't want to do these negative actions. I don't want to hurt others. I don't want to cause others and myself also suffering. So one practices pure ethics, right? Not killing, not hurting other people, not stealing from them, not doing sexual misconduct, not lying, right? Not saying harsh, hurtful words. And remember, harsh words can sound harsh, like shouting and yelling, or they can be very said even with a sweet tone of voice. But if you know it's going to hurt the other person, it's still harsh, right? With speech designed to hurt somebody else, and so on. So one intention, the first cause for precious human rebirth is one intentionally and out of one's own effort decides and actually acts based on pure ethics. But that's not enough, actually. Then also, the person, to achieve precious human rebirth, has to practice generosity. So being kind to and giving to others. Then also the person has to practice patience. So when difficult circumstances or difficult people arise, the person has to train in cultivating patience, not getting angry, which is a training, a mental training. And one has to engage in pure dedication prayers. So having done all kinds of positive actions, the person has to then pray, but not just sort of generic prayer, but a prayer of dedicating. Through these virtuous actions, may I achieve precious human rebirths, in which I can practice the Dharma. And so on. So one thing we can think of here is, wow, that really is rare. In other words, very few people do that. Right? That combination of causes. You can also reflect, wow, I myself did that in some past life. Because I'm here and I have this precious human rebirth, that means I did do that in a past life. Wow, so you really start to feel, first of all, that's incredibly rare. It almost never happens. Like the dust on the fingernail analogy. And one feels, if I did that in some past life, I finally did that, now it's finally ripened. All the causes and conditions came together so that the karmic results have ripened in this. If I don't take advantage of it now, it'll never happen again. So I must take advantage of this. I must use this opportunity. And here you can look around just a bit. You can think, okay, if I look around, first of all, it's actually true, right? First of all, almost nobody has a precious human rebirth. Most beings are in the lower realms, hell, hungry ghosts, and then I can see animals. There are almost countless more animals than humans. And then among humans, right? Actually, almost no one has a precious human rebirth. If I look around, like, right, the most populous country on the planet, right, is China. Actually, you can openly practicing Dharma there can cause you to be arrested. There's almost no opportunity to study. The few people who study have to do it in secret. They fear getting in trouble. So mostly it's not available. Then there are so many countries on the planet where you can actually, friends have told me this, like where if you went there and said, oh, I'm practicing Buddhism, you could be killed just for saying that. Or at the minimum ostracized. Then there are many places on the planet where there's just no opportunity. Even in countries where there is Dharma available. I was thinking this like in India, for example. There are great spiritual teachers there. But there are millions of people who live in such poverty that they have no opportunity. The poverty is so extreme that they can't access the teachings. So it's unbelievably rare, and the causes are unbelievably rare. The result, therefore, is unbelievably rare. Somehow in a past life I did those causes, and I have this opportunity where I can achieve anything, as we've said. I can achieve any result. And so that leads to the fourth point here, which is cultivating a feeling of, which we talked about a little earlier, of energy, of enthusiasm, of passion for practicing Dharma. Inspiration. One feels, wow, like, it's amazing. Like, it's so rare, it's the rarest of the rare things. I really want to use this well. I've achieved something or gained something that's like 1 in trillions, trillions and trillions. Now is the time to use it well. Actually, maybe I won't pause, because I think that flows really easily into the next point. So that's the fifth point, which has 4 subpoints. So I'll go to the first as subpoint, because I think it makes sense, which is motivation. So when one would feel now, this feeling, one cultivates a feeling of motivation like this. All beings want happiness. Nobody wants suffering. Just like me. Everyone's the same. Whatever realm they're in, whatever kind of being they are, everybody wants happiness and no one wants suffering. But for the most part, sentient beings are completely crazed. Although they don't want suffering, they're creating the causes of suffering. Although they want happiness, they're destroying their own happiness. And one feels a sense here of motivation like responsibility. Like, sometimes in the past, maybe I got angry at beings like that, or judgmental. But now the feeling is just like, they don't have the opportunity I have. I'm the one who has that opportunity. So it's my responsibility then to use this well, to benefit myself and also them. Like, they're blind, they're lost, they're crazed. Almost like the one metaphor here could be like, if your most cherished relative, like your own mom or dad or something, had like dementia, and were doing something destructive, I think the feeling isn't to judge them, they can't help it, right? The feeling is like, they were kind to me, I have to do what I can to help them back. So in a sense, all beings are like that. All beings are kind of crazed or demented by their ignorance. They don't have the freedom and the opportunity to practice the path, but I do. And so here the feeling is one of compassion. Right? That one feels, I have this. It's also the feeling like another metaphor here, or another example would be, like if somebody suddenly has $1 billion or something, right? Like you have to use it to help the world. Like there's like, you have something very special, something very valuable. You're the billionaire now. You're the one who has every opportunity to be of benefit. And those other beings, like their karma is such, there are countless beings whose karma is such that you're the one who could help them. You're the one they're connected to enough that you could help them. So you feel, I have the opportunity, they don't. It falls on me. And I happily want to practice, because I can achieve the result, they can't. And if I achieve the result, I can benefit myself, but also countless others. So this is building on a sense of inspiration, right? So this feeling, wow, I really want to practice now because I could become, like you think of the Dalai Lama, right? He benefits so many, like hundreds of thousands of people actually, all the time. I could be like that. I could achieve that kind of result. Like, oh my goodness, how could I not want to do that? I'm on the jeweled isle. All I have to do is pick up the diamonds, the sapphires, the rubies. I can carry them out and give them to others endlessly. So there's this feeling of motivation or inspiration or passion that I want to practice like that because I have the opportunity. I have everything needed. Connected to that, the next point is a sense of confidence, right? Is this confidence recognizing because I have all these outer and inner conditions, I really can achieve the result. Whereas if I want to have a good future rebirth, I can do that. If I want to achieve liberation, I can do that. If I want to be a bodhisattva, I can be a bodhisattva. Become a bodhisattva in this life. Even if I want to become a Buddha, I can become a Buddha quickly. It's all a matter of causes and conditions, but I have like the unique set of causes and conditions that allow somebody to do all of that. So a kind of confidence, or almost a certainty, an understanding, and therefore a kind of confidence or certainty or insight that I can do it, and therefore I have to do it. Others are depending upon me. Their well-being is depending on me. My own well-being is also depending on me. In other words, if I don't pick up these jewels, if I don't pick up these diamonds and sapphires, I'll live in poverty. I won't help anybody else. It's like going back. Imagine for a moment, like you were in the lower realms. Right now, you're here. Just following on that earlier metaphor. If you have like an extended family, like many people who rely on you, your own, like the metaphor would be like you're a trader, right? So you have all these children, you have a spouse, you have cousins, you have people, friends, and people in your village. Right? They're all depending on you to come back with wealth. Your well-being is also dependent. And then if you just leave all the diamonds there and go back empty-handed, it would be unbearable, actually. Right, to return and say, yeah, I saw the diamonds, but I didn't take any for you. I didn't bother. I was too distracted or something. Right? It would be totally unbearable. So like that. In other words, I have all these diamonds here, all these jewels, these inner jewels of enlightenment. All I have to do is pick them up, and I can help others. Myself, I won't be impoverished in future lives, and I can help others infinitely. So now is the time. So one feels a sense of confidence and passion and knowing I can do that. All I have to do is engage in the practices step by step. I can achieve any result. It's just a matter of causes and conditions. It's nothing that mysterious. Because I did some practices in a past life, right? I achieved these causes. Now they've ripened in the result. All I have to do is create the next causes, and it becomes like I can make it into an irreversible process of spiritual growth or of enlightened activity. Now is the time I have to do that. There's no choice anymore. There's the feeling. And that leads to the next point, which is a sense of urgency. Feeling I must accomplish the precious Dharma in this life because I won't find another precious human rebirth like this with all the perfect conditions. Unless I practice, if I don't practice well in this life, it won't happen again. The only way I'll either achieve Buddhahood or achieve a similar life again to continue progressing is by practicing very well in this life. So some sense of feeling of urgency, like I've got to do it now. That if I say, oh, I'll do it in a future life, that would be completely cheating myself and others. That would be like the guy on the jewel, or the woman, the trader on the jewel aisle, leaving with nothing. So someone says, this is the time to do it. This is the life to do it. I worked so hard in a past life to create the causes and conditions to have this result. Now is the time. This is the place to achieve progress. There is no better time or place than this. Even if on certain days it seems difficult to me, because I have this confidence knowing I can achieve the result, I can overcome any obstacles. The obstacles here are tiny, they're nothing. I mean, even the worst obstacles that I can face are nothing at all compared to the obstacles I had before, when I was a hungry ghost, when I was an animal, when I was a hell being. So whatever obstacles come now, I don't care. They're irrelevant, actually. Now is the time to achieve the result. Others are depending upon me. Out of compassion for myself and compassion for countless others, now is the time when I'll practice well and achieve the resultant qualities and be of help to others extensively. One can even feel at this point, if good things happen, I don't care, I'm going to practice. If bad things happen, I don't care, I'm going to practice. Like, temporary conditions aren't what's important anymore. What's important is that I have this precious human rebirth, and I can achieve anything with it. And so now is the time to pick up the jewels, metaphorically speaking, right? To achieve, to create the causes, and experience the results of enlightenment for the welfare of all beings. And that leads to one more, the last sub-point here, which is called, the previous one was urgency, that I would call this one extreme urgency. And so that is recognizing, okay, so I have this precious human rebirth, which is unbelievably rare and infinitely precious, but actually I may die any time. I don't know how long this is going to last. All these causes and conditions that came together to create this current situation, it could end at any moment. One is I could die, right? But also I could, something could happen where my mind no longer works properly. A brain injury, stroke, or some other thing, right? Like, so while I have this opportunity, now I have to practice this day, this hour, this moment. And again, you get the feeling here. It's not out of some sense of what's the word? Obligation or duty or something. It's out of passion, actually. It's out of some feeling, maybe kind of a duty, but it's more of a passion, I finally can do it. And the results are the most valuable thing imaginable for myself and for others. What else would I want to do with that? Right? That's why I say more like passion. Urgency, but a kind of sense of extreme urgency or extreme passion for practice. Where one feels like, I'd like to stay up half the night practicing. It's so fun. It's so exciting. That even, whatever, other distracting things would arise. Who cares about that? This is what I want to do. This is my passion. Because I can, now I can achieve the ultimate benefit, the ultimate essence of enlightenment. So just take a moment kind of dwelling in that sense of deep passion or extreme urgency or great enthusiasm combined with confidence.